Hey guys, how's it going? It's Alexander Williamson here with The Secret History, living in your aquarium. I think the internet is going to be a pain as it has been the last few days. I'm going to try turning off a few things. It's very hot in here. I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I'm guessing it mostly has to do with everyone being inside because we are completely uh, smoked out in Seattle right now. We have something like 200 to 400 parts per million in the sky. You can see, usually if you watch my channel, you know that out that window you can see the mountains and trees, and we have a visible range of something like a few, a few, maybe 20 miles we can see the mountains, and a few miles we can see closely of land before those distant mountains. And we can't even see a quarter mile right now. It looks like fog. So, pardon me if I'm going slow. Pardon me, please, again, if the stream drops. For some reason, both on the laptop and on cameras and on third-party software through the phone, I have been having trouble the last 2 days getting on here. But the other night, I did an episode for an hour on lights and the fundamentals of, if what kind of lights you need, and the basics of what lights do, how they work, why they're designed the way they are, and what spectrums you need if you want to grow plants versus if you just want to see your fish. So that first episode you can refer to. It was a live stream. Then last night we tried to do a live stream and it died 19 or 20 minutes in, and I'm really sorry, guys. So it died really quickly in, and I discussed I was going to take it down, but today we just won't talk about any of the scientific spectrum-y stuff explicitly unless there's questions. And so I figured, why not give you guys a top 10 list of the lights that I would buy? So we're going to start right off the top with that list. And then we're going to look at some of the lights I have. Hopefully I won't be so laggy. Are you guys seeing me as a very glitchy lag kind of person right now online? Does it look pretty bad? Hello, by the way, Big Worm, Jax Intax, Chubbs Aquatics, Unsophisticated, Muppet, Justin. Good to see y'all today. So why not? I mean, why delay it? So let's jump right in. I get accused of not getting to the point, and I can definitely say that that's true. I don't get to the point frequently. So in the description below, I have linked, I think there's 5 lights that I would buy, that in different circumstances I would buy. I think the Fluval Planted Plus 3.0 is the best light for your average fish keeper, for your average aquascape or rimless aquarium for a modern feel, and also incredibly good light for growing high light plants that need special things like CO2 and so forth. I would recommend a Twinstar Ea series, and that could be a AE60, an AE90, AE 120, whatever it may be. Those are centimeters wide, in length, I should say, that the light is. AE is the model. They also have a C type and an E. I think it's either just an E or an EE now type. But the C type is less powerful. I wouldn't spend the money. I'd go with something like a Nicrew or a Beamswork or Finnex even, before I would use one of those. But if you buy the high quality one, they're really high quality. Same with Kessel lights and Odyssey, C spelled like not Odyssey, the Iliad, Homer, Greek epic, but rather sea as in the ocean. And both those lights are incredible. I mean, they reflect beautifully. They make things shimmer. They're full spectrum. They're powerful. They'll punch right through into a 2 or 3 foot tank like this one of depth, all the way to the bottom. They'll encourage growth. They'll flower plants underwater. They'll also heat up. They'll also cause a lot of algae if you don't watch it. But they have the capability of really cranking out a ton of energy. I mean, almost to the point where it feels like you're growing outside under real light, or immersed growth. So let's just get this list out of the way. Let's get this top 10, which will be different from the links linked, which are basically, if you just want to trust me, those are the ones that I have and the only ones that I'll be buying in the future, essentially. Whereas this list, I'm going to give you, what I did was I rated them based on, and it's in order 1 through 10, with number 1 being the top 10, the top of the 10. So we're going to weigh the quality that you get and the price, the features, and then the durability. And basically, and styling a little bit for the rimless tanks and things, like how does it clip on? Is it easy, or do you have to awkwardly have like brackets that hang off all weird, or it doesn't fit in a lid, or there's problems like that. I'm not going to go into all those for every light because I feel like we needed a video in this series where I just lay it out. You guys can figure out why I rated these things in that order. And if you're interested, you can always click on one of the links of the 5 lights that I do like off the list, which are listed first in the description. And then once you're on Amazon, if you wanted to get one of the other ones that wasn't in my top 5, then feel free. But I thought I would try to make it easy to jump off from there and from this video. So let's kick it off. So my number 10, which I would not buy unless you really have to, and that is an Aqueon light. So these are the Aqueon LEDs. These are a step above what comes with the top fin or Aqueon kits, which are just a very generic big box brand. They have blue LED for a sleeping mode. They have a medium bandwidth of light, very, slightly on the cool side, if anything, of white with blue diodes also on. And you can get these, supposedly this is the cheapest light, and you can get these for anywhere from $49.99 to $120, depending on which size. The $49.99 is either the 18-inch, I think also the 24-inch is that price, and then the Pendant is also that price. And it's listed as the Aqueon Pendant or Aqueon Planted Plus. It goes by those names depending on whether it's Petco or PetSmart. But if you can only access those, if you don't have access to Amazon for some reason, or don't do business with Amazon, I don't know, then I guess you could go that way. It's really a shame that most of the stuff in the big box stores and almost everything in every kit is complete garbage, unfortunately. The LEDs are designed simply to see your fish so that you can see what's going on, which really means you can grow algae, and other than that, maybe some Java ferns, some Marimo moss balls, duckweed, guppy grass, Java fern, Java moss, and I don't know, some Val or something maybe. If you have good substrate, it's really bad. They're really deceptive, and I dislike them. But number 10, that's where it's at. It's a step above the kit light, and you can find it at those places. So number 9 on the list, I have as the Phoenix Stingray. And this is a little controversial. I have it up so high because it is a very warm light. So it's a very warm light. It makes redfish look incredible. Aquarium Co-op has a lot of their tanks in their shop set up with this light. So if you've seen their videos and you see their fish tanks in the store, a lot of times that's what makes those cherry barbs look so red, or the bettas look so red. And then they also have Fluval 2.0s, which we'll get to later. But these Finnex Stingrays, they've been around a while. They're very simple. They're UL rated, which means in theory, if they fall in the water, they'll either turn themselves off quickly and still fry, but they won't catch on fire, spark, short out at the wall, and burn your house down. So that means that insurance, rental insurance, homeowners insurance likes that. And if you ever had a, God forbid, fire because of one of these lights, the UL ratings are kind of important in that sense. It just means that, hey, it's safe for a developed nation, basically. It's not made in Indonesia for the, Cambodian consumer market or something. So next up is going to be number 8, and that is going to be your Kessel pendant lights or your Odyssey lights. As I mentioned earlier, Kessel, incredible quality. I mean, you'd think that, Alex, why isn't that number 1? Well, because it can be up to $800 for a can light, for a spotlight, for a big cube tank. You hang it from the ceiling, the hardware, it looks really slick, very Scandinavian or German in design, very modern. I guess, kind of that simple Bauhaus design has merged a bit with that Japanese neoclassical cubism of sorts. Rounded cubism, I don't know what to call it. The Amano aesthetic of rimless aquariums and things like that. But, and pardon me if my voice sounds weird, or I start squinting in my eyes at all, because this fire is, the smoke is just awful, even inside. Okay, so I didn't rate those lights that high because they are so expensive. But if money's not an option, or not an option, money's not an option, number 1 is going to be for you, or number 2. But if money's not a problem, then I would go with that. They're beautiful lights. They look good. They look sleek, slim, sexy. And the Odyssey is actually, instead of one pendant light or a little focused beam of kind of full spectrum grow light, UV light, the Odyssey usually comes in these wide, they almost look like old light setups with the ballast for the light fluorescent bulbs. And so those ones are actually, some of them have 500 LED nodes in them. And I had one for a while on a 40 breeder, and it actually, for $400, it covered most of the 40 breeder's footprint, and it could grow all the way down a foot or two. So it'd be good if you had, say, 120 gallon tank or something, and you could support it above. But it blasted everything out. It burned the plants, actually. And it made algae grow like none other, just because it was so much power. You really have to finesse it and know what kind of minerals, what kind of soil, how you're going to mix all of that. So going on down the line, number 7 out of 10 is going to be the Twinstar C series. So that's C90, C60, C120. The C is just their entry level light. Twinstar is the slimline, one of the first lights that had a bracket looking mount on the sides that can mount on rimless. They're what all of these lights here kind of copied later on. And we looked at that in the first video, and we'll look at that later, especially if the lag is not too atrocious. But they're a good light that will grow most low and medium light plants, And they actually start in, especially if you have a local retailer, for like a little 10-gallon tank or a 6-gallon 7.5. Any of the European or like Do Aqua, Mr. Aqua, any of those kind of funky Wabikuza and small rimless tanks, they work great for those. They have lots of special attachments so you can lift them, support them, hang them from loops and things like that. And it's very, very clean looking. And honestly, the performance is going to be a step above anything you're going to find at like a PetSmart or Petco. But in the C series, you're looking at somewhere between $70 and $150 depending on the size. So you've got a 24-inch, a Pendant, a 36, and a 48-inch, I believe, are their size options. I use their EA line, which we'll get to also soon here. But that is same look, same size, but different price, way different spectrum, and much, much more power. Okay, so number 6 out of 10 is going to be the Aqua Sky, which is this little bugger right here. If we could, here, I can turn towards it. Has adjustable legs, low profile, which I like. These little legs can make it so the sizes are variable. You can actually submerge it underwater. You're not supposed to, but I've dunked that one many times in the last 4 years since I bought it. That one you can actually get at Petco or PetSmart. Usually I see it at Petco, I believe. And it is the Aqua Sky, and it has the ability to change. It's called the Aqua Sky Planted, and I've seen it now. It seems like they've raised the price a little bit because the new generation has Bluetooth enabled, so you can do a lot more with it rather than the original remote that it came with. I thought I had the remote handy over here somewhere, but in any case, the older version, which maybe you can still find in stores, has a little LED remote, and you can set it so that it looks like lightning. You can set it at half brightness, nighttime mode, cloudy mode, smoke mode, so that it's like a warm or a cool tone. A lot of that's really gimmicky. You're not really, it doesn't have enough power to flower the actual plants underwater, really. From my experience anyways. Maybe if you start them out of water and then dunk them and then keep them right near the surface, you could get like Anubias or Bucephalandra to flower for you. But other than that, it's not going to, it's just not set up for that. It's more of a gimmick. I like to call it the disco light, but because of its thinness, because you can get it for as cheap as 45, and depending on the size, again, they have it in tons of sizes. They have it in, I want to say 12 inches is the smallest size, and it's like $30. Whereas you can also get it in 24 inches, which is usually around 45 to 60, depending on the sales and things. If you're going to buy from PetSmart, go to chewy.com and look at their any deals they have, because any deals they have, PetSmart will match because they're the same company. Okay, so number 5 is going to be the DA or FA. It doesn't really matter to me, but the DA, EA, FA, any of them, honestly, in the series, but Beams Work lights. These are new. There's a new model out of them. There's also existing models still on shelves from the last few years, but for only $75 in the lower tier of those 3 tiers I named, you can get a 48-inch light for $75 that gets you around low to low medium light. So you could start to grow some Rotalas, some Ludwigias. You might not get those high colors. You may not be able to grow like Rotala Florida or Rotala Wallachia, or some of the more sensitive ones. But you can grow some decent plants with it. and it's just so cheap. And it's not UL rated, unfortunately, but I've dropped the damn things a bunch of times, and I've learned that it's fine when you drop them. Usually they recover. They have a case that's kind of flimsy. They're not the best quality, but they do kind of mimic this style case where you've got the flat bar. That's how everyone's kind of moving, and then you've got a case around that, the heat sink above it, and then the legs or struts on the ends. And the casing, the plastic casing that the LEDs are in, can crack. It can get dirty. And so that's kind of a drawback. It's low quality build in my opinion. But if you just need a light that will grow, some sword plants and crypts and some Ludwigia, some Bacopa, some Kabamba, that'll do you fine. And I think that's the best deal out there, as far as a bar LED goes. So that's why it comes in solidly at number 5. And you can get more LEDs, basically the more money you pay. So it starts at $30 for a 24-inch light, which is really crazy. I think that's an 18-watt light, and it's also 18 par. So that's on the low end more. It's not on the low end where it won't grow anything like some of the kit lights, but it's low enough that you're only going to want to use it on like 20 longs, 5 gallons, 10 gallons, shallower tanks. It's not going to have any power for the depth of the tank to penetrate and have staying power. So the next one's going to be the Nicrew. So the last one was the Beamswork DA F spec or DA E spec, whatever you wanted to call it. But the Nicrew is a very, very similar product, honestly, and it has also several types. You've got the EA or the DA spec types, and they start anywhere from $40 to $70 for a 24-inch light. The $70 one has double the light, double the energy, double the punch. It gets you almost to highlight. It gets you to medium high, I would say, which allows you to do a lot of things. With CO2 and FERTs, you'd probably actually be in the range of being able to do 90% of plants out there. So the Nicrew, I give it credit for that. It's still cheaply built. It's built with parts, and we've got all these other lights like Current, Nicrew, Beamswork, Do Aqua, any of the off-brand, just we haven't heard of that one, kind of lights. A lot of them are built in China or, somewhere in Asia, Taiwan or Bangladesh, India. The parts are interchangeable. The LEDs and diodes are all the same. So what all you're dealing with is how many of those same diodes you want packed in what sort of cheap plastic case, that sort of thing. So number 3 out of 10 is going to be the Twinstar Ea 90, Ea 60, Ea whatever, just the Twinstar Ea series. Top Ea as far as consumer level goes before you get into professional grade type stuff. It starts around $149 for like a 20 gallon. You'd be using it on that. It's seamless. It looks beautiful with your tank. It also has a heat sink built in, but that heat kind of radiates down onto your tank and can actually save a little money, which is just kind of an added little benefit. You don't want to count on that for heat, but it does produce a little bit of heat for how little of wattage the thing has. So that's just kind of my opinion on that. It's a decent light that, visually speaking, it's very well quality built. I've dropped them in the tank a lot of times, and you'd think maybe that the high-end luxury good lights wouldn't be as good for that. I mean, if you buy the 48-inch one where the entire thing is lights and it's It has full range, including non-visible spectrum lighting, like UV lighting that we don't even need to bother with, but that the plants can actually sense, which is very cool. And a lot of them now are moving towards having more components where you can throttle the intensity right on the cord. You can throttle the intensity of the power. You can change some settings, add timers, things like that right in line with it. And it looks just really sleek and sexy on your aquarium. There's no way around it. If you want to be an aquascaper, don't buy the like knockoff brands, really, in my opinion. Stick with that unless you really don't need any light. If you're just doing a wabikuza that's all immersed and it's in a windowsill, then don't get a good light. You maybe don't even need a light at all if it's, getting sunlight that way. Number two, so we're moving right along. We'll be done before the half hour. Number two is going to be the CREE LED. And that, I know, is obscure. It's a made in China LED diode, but it's a very high quality diode. And each diode is like the size of a pencil eraser, and it probably has 10 in it, of the older style light emitting diodes with LED. And it's 30 watts, the one I've linked to, and it's a floodlight. So it's for your house. It's not even for your tank. So it doesn't have any settings in the sense of, okay, I want to flower this plant, or I want a warmer or a cooler tone. And it wasn't designed for that. But it does have a tone that's dead smack in the middle of around 6,500 Kelvin, which is kind of perfectly between blue and red light. It gets a little bit of both in there, plus that yellow-green light. And if you really need to, you could also add some red light on it, if you wanted to, or blue light for nighttime. But really, you probably would just be growing algae if you're doing that. And if you need to do that, then you've got enough fertilizers, you've got enough in the substrate, you've got root tabs, you've got liquid fertilizer, you've got everything set up like an expert. And so you probably don't need a light like that to be decked out any special way. You can probably just use it and tool the amount of power going to the plug, which works just fine, or you can throttle the hours back of how many hours it's on a day, right? Maybe only leave it on 6 hours a day. But I had those on this tank, and this tank here is a 46-gallon bow front, and those lights, let me show you real quick. So they're in this fashion here. They look just like a floodlight you'd put on your house. And the main thing you want to look for is that they're made by CREE LED. And that's these 6 main diodes here. This one is made by GoSun, and all you want is an opaque piece of plastic or glass, fogged glass, on it, and a heat sink so that it doesn't melt. But then you can put it on a piece of glass for the lid. You can angle it on the wall and mount it, or you can hang it from the ceiling by a steel cable or whatnot. Kind of classy, just a single one line down. Some of them have shorter cords than others, but some have really long cords, and they don't have timers built in. So those are downfalls. The major up point of this light, which can grow all the way up to like Rotala wallachia, it can grow blood vomit, it can grow Eriocalum, it can flower your plants if you have it on strong enough, long enough in the day, and you've got the right nutrients. $12.50. 2 of these lights you could put on this tank and light the whole thing all the way to the very bottom. So, can't beat the value on that, and that's why it is my number 2 spot. Because in a pinch, you could do that, and it's only 30 watts. You can get it in 15, 50, or 60 watts. You can buy all sorts of brands of different brackets and things, but I just happen to like the Go Sun brand. If you see it, and there's a few others. The ones I linked were also just as good. They're just a newer model, but they're made by the literally billions of LED diodes, and they come out of these several factories in Shenzhen, China, and in these cities they have these parts. Maybe they're the heat sink or the radiator for something else, and then the capacitors and another piece of electronics. They'll be mass produced, and literally you could walk around in these super malls and pick up each little component for a piece of hardware. And so people build their own, you name it, and buy the parts then from the factory after they've tested out the prototype in the market. It's a very different style than in the West of how they build products. So lastly, coming in at the half-hour mark, my favorite, the one that you'll have it, you'll be set, you won't have to fuss, rush around and worry about it, is the Fluval Planted Plus 3.0 bar light. My only complaint is it's not wider. It's very narrow, it's very light. It has extendable struts, which are sturdy. It can be dunked over and over, regardless of what it says. I've done it many times because, well, I'm just special that way, guys, okay? I guess I can't help myself. When I think about you, I drop my light in my fish tank and I electrocute my fish. And then I have flashbacks to when I get hit by lightning. I don't want any light else. When I think about you, I drop my light in my fish tank and I get electrocuted with 1,000 fish. I think you get the point. I like this. I like it a lot. And the Fluval 3.0 you can control with your phone, which is basically your mind. You basically have a Jedi mind trick light bar. So you can go like this to your friends. As long as you're in your other hand, you're doing this and you're setting things. But it allows you to set an on and off time, peak time. You can do the disco effects. You can do the lightning effects. You can make your whole tank purple if you want. I don't know why you'd do that. Maybe you have friends. Maybe Prince is coming back from the dead and he wants to see your fish tank. But yeah, so you can do that. And then also it allows you to control the power all the way from 2 par up to like, I guess I don't know off the top of my head how high it goes, but 100 times that, you know? So it really does allow mass flexibility. It can sync with other lights, and in your room you can have them all sync together so that, you know, one section shuts off and then the other cascading, or you can have them all working in tandem, which is tan smart in my opinion. But these are going to run you, the cheapest you're going to pay new for a 3.0 Fluval Planted Plus is going to be $159, unfortunately. Now, you could get that anywhere from Amazon. I've got the link below because it's my favorite. If you have a tank like a 40-gallon breeder and you really want to grow plants in every inch of it, I would either raise it above the surface by a foot somehow, which it doesn't come with legs for that, or I would get 2 of them. And if you put 2 of them on the rim, woo, we're cooking with gas now, baby, man. That thing would grow the leaves off an Anubias. I mean, you'd have a stick left because it would grow so fast that the rest of the plant wouldn't know what to do. You just burn it out. So you'd actually have to be careful with that. But if you know what you're doing, you've got the right substrate, you've got CO2. I mean, you don't need CO2. In fact, that's why I like the Fluval 3.0 is because even if you don't have CO2, you can get a lot of the same impact effects and beauty that we look for in these plants without that CO2, just because the light is so strong. On the far expensive end for like something that will cover your 120 gallon, I think they only make up to a 48-inch last I read. If something's changed, please let me know, guys. But that 48-inch bar is going to be $249, I think, which is still really reasonable in my mind for the life it's gonna have, and you know you can also use it across multiple tanks. So you could have 520 longs, and one of those mounted above in the center, about a foot above, and it would probably grow everything in all those tanks. To be honest, has a very good cast. The angle of infraction is very good. It throws a very good cast. Let me finish this little soda here. It's just warm. It's gross. Okay. So that's the list. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope that you guys enjoy the explanation of it. Boy, man, it is getting nasty out. If you guys can see, there's supposed to be my neighbor's house, other than the one right next door. There's supposed to be another house a block away over there. Pretty crazy. You can kind of see some of the neighborhood over here, the next street down. But I hope you guys are being safe with the fires and things. Let me see what you guys are saying. I wanted to answer questions in this chat. That was the whole point, because I didn't do it in the first place. I know I'm doing it a time early when not everybody's here who I would like, but I'm glad that you guys are here. Dr. Autoflower, have you ever seen anyone grow cannabis using have you ever seen anyone using a cannabis grow light in a planted tank? I have. I've done it myself. In college, you know, I actually had a tank set up similar to this with, instead of, you know, I had the T5 lights above and then reflective aluminum around it. I felt bad for the fish after a while, and so I made them a little hiding spot and blah, yada yada. The thing was, if you've got like tilapia or bass or perch or something like that that really gets your ammonia cranking, and I mean koi too, big goldfish, but you really got to get that ammonia, the nitrates, all that stuff cranking to really get the the cannabis to also get cranking and growing, especially when it's flowering time. And you need a light that can adjust. But that being said, those lights are designed to work in our atmosphere. So you actually need a more powerful light. You need like the flowering stage power level of light just to get that vegetative growth in some of your higher end aquascape plants. So that's why these lights can get so expensive too, is because every 6 inches of water column, you lose 50% your visibility of light or of your photonic energy that can be transformed into kinetic energy. You also lose your spectrum of light, because as we talked about last time, when we look for when we're looking at light, if it's a spectrum with blue light over here, blue and purple, and a black light, which is UV light over here, ultraviolet, and then we've got a little bit of so from the blue it goes to a green, to a light green, to yellow, to an orange, to red, crimson again, and then into infrared and heat vision. So when we've got that, and if you were to graph it out and see where plants want to grow in that light spectrum, and all lights are going to have some balance of those colors, the big hump is right here. So, and all of that is only from around 350 or 400 nanometers wavelength to 700 nanometers. So these are like, I think, millionths of a meter is how big the curve of the light is in a wavelength. We won't get into it. I talked about it last time, but light acts just like a sound wave. If you could see what I'm tracing, kind of. Just like a sound wave. And yet it arrives in packets, and the packets can get lost, the packets can split. There's all sorts of crazy quantum mechanical things that can go on. But we don't need to worry about any of that stuff for this video or for our plants right now. But basically, they want their vegetative growth in the blue, green, light green, yellow, light spectrum. That's where they get their leaves growing, and they get their height and their sturdiness. And then they need to create ATP in cells of their body, and in those cells, the mitochondria of the cell creates ATP. Now, ATP is energy. It's the energy that every organic organism uses in its cells to communicate, and it can turn in potential energy, like this molecule sitting there, from a thing into energy. It can burn it. And so basically, your light is going to work with the chlorophyll in your plants, and chlorophyll is going to always be green. But some plants don't need as much light. They're saying, hey, I'm already at the top of the water, yo. I don't need that. I'm not going to use all that chlorophyll. It also could be evolutionary to attract them for pollination or other reasons, I suppose, too. But you can see, as it gets towards the top, as light gets more intense, and this is the same as your day ends, or as the season, as winter approaches and the harvest season starts, you start to see more fall colors in trees, right? Pinks and reds and oranges. Because those leaves are going to be lost. They don't need that energy. They start using their root energy, and they start using CO2 from the air. They get their carbon from the air. They get their nutrients from the ground, and they're getting their ATP, or that molecular energy that's either been stored up, or they're getting it from the ground, and they're going to shift into their off-season body form, essentially. Whereas these plants, they're aquatic, they already lose a lot of the red light coming underwater just because of the nature of red light. So once you're about 10 feet underwater, 6 feet underwater even, most of the red is gone. You can't see it. Just because of the size of the wavelength, that is all that color is it's the size of the ups and downs of the waves of light in a spectrum, in a beam. And we see those, it's coming in and it's landing, and that beam reflects in a certain way. And what we're seeing actually is this object is every color but the one we see. So it's every color but red, because the red is reflecting off. So it's not a red plant, it is a plant with a texture that reflects the red bandwidth of light back. Now, underwater, it can't do all that. And so that's why it's important to have that oomph, that kick, that power, those watts behind some of our lights, and why you can't just have a little teeny LEDs. That's why you see these pastel colors. It's why you see it's no substitute for full spectrum. We can kind of fake it with just having red, green, and blue, but you also need a cool white light and a warm white light diode to really get that, and ideally a green light diode to get that full spectrum. And this is a Twinstar right here. This one was 250, but I mean, right now the CO2 hasn't been running for a while, and you can see, I think you can see the results for yourself. This thing can produce some beautiful plants. I know the live stream is less than ideal today, and it's laggy and choppy as all get out, but I think it's still, you can probably still make out that you can create some pretty beautiful and epic aquascapes, colors, and plants. Pretty much anything you want, you can have in here. And the other thing that's nice is with lights, they've either got to be powerful enough that they trigger your plants to say, oh, it's daytime, let's use up the CO2 in the air, let's open our pores and suck up all the energy, the minerality, the iron, the zinc, the manganese, the oddball stuff, the potassium, the phosphates. And then things like phosphates regulate how fast they can open up and take those things in. And then the carbon in the CO2 that they get from oxygen in the water, that's why we aerate our water, then they can turn that into building material because all life is based on mostly carbon atoms in their molecular structure. So basically, this is the generator of the plant. Your light is the power generator, and then you've got all your building materials are going to be in your substrate, your liquid fertilizers, your iron, your potassium. I personally like to use, for my own reasons, Brighty K, which is potassium, mostly potassium, and a few other trace minerals, and then Brighty Green, Brighty Mineral, sorry, which is ADA, and these things are stupid expensive. They're $17 a bottle, and I go through a bottle every 2 or 3 months for pretty much this tank. But I do harvest plants out of this tank weekly and sell them. I'm able to get 6 inches of growth out of my Hygrophila pinnatifida sunset. Where is the other pinnatifida? Well, I guess I trimmed most of the pinnatifida, but off the Hygrophilas, I'm able to get that. Off these Rotalas, sometimes I can get a foot of growth in a week. It just depends. Usually 6 inches is more normal. The Kabamba furcata, I can also do that. If you turn up CO2, then you can get a denser plant. If you get it so powerfully turned up, in some cases, you can keep it from growing because it doesn't reach to the light as much, and it almost bonsais the plant. So the plant thinks, nah, I'm good. I can just stay here. I don't need to build up. I'll build out, and I'll build width and density and quality of enzymes and chemicals. And that's what we do. Somebody asked about growing marijuana. That is what you would focus on with that is you don't want it to grow tall and lanky. You want it to grow thick and bushy. And that's why when you have a fish tank or something like that, you need so much nitrate and ammonia based chemicals into your plant as well as phosphates that it can be very harmful on the fish. And so yeah, Finnex Stingray keeps the algae going like mad on my snail farm tank, says Cletus. Damn you, bro, I'm hungry. All right, let's see here. What are you guys talking about? Oh, somebody gave me a super chat? Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. I really do. The super chats are great. They let me buy more lights and things like this to try out, to test out, to show you more plants. They let me pay my electrical bill. Anyone sell a pea puffer near Seattle? Yeah. Everyone, all the pet stores that are little pet shops that aren't Petco or PetSmart sell them for about $5. Oh, right. So Rob's Ray TV commented for a $2 super chat, which is very kind of him. He is one of the hosts of the Aquarium Guys podcast. And today, like any minute now, I think, coming up here, they have George Farmer on. And if you are a member of his crew, you can listen to that live on his Discord. I think there may be links on their website, aquariumguys.net. I don't know what it's dot of. I'm sorry. I've got a link on my Facebook right now and in our Facebook group. And a link to that Facebook group is also below. But I was on a 2-hour episode where we discussed the history of the aquarium hobby and the capitalization on the hobby as the fish as a toy or a commodity rather than a wild thing that's just meant to be outside and not interacted with, and then the baby boom and the advent of technology. So it was just a very fun episode. It has adult language, and it is kind of it's a bit of a radio show almost. I'm not going to say Howard Stern by any means, but it's a bit of a kind of like a morning drive show as far as where language and jokes will go. So it's definitely for, older teenagers to adult level humor, but definitely very knowledgeable people on there. Like I said, George Farmer's going to be on there today. That episode will probably be out in a week or two. And my episode aired today. You can listen to it if you'd like. Anywhere you can get listen to podcasts, you can find it. And that is the Aquarium Guys podcast. Once again, Atkins Nature Aquariums, hello. Peplin Creek Aquatics, I saw you this morning active. So yeah, I saw Father Fish this morning and was in the chat, and I caught Corvus Oskin, and I always want to say Corvus Ocean. Yeah, so it's been a busy day of hopping in and out of chats like puddles. Okay, we're coming down into the fish room. If I lose you, just don't worry about it. Jerry, what's going on? Let's see here. The Yeti. Does anybody have any questions that they need answered? I'm actually gonna skip over. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys have a lot of comments that I missed while I was yakety yak. Don't talk back. Talking. And I don't know who's here and who's not. So now I'm paying attention to you guys. I've told the top 10 list. So throw them at me. Let me know what questions you have. And while you do that, in between questions, I'll show you some lights. This is the holy grail on the list, the top 10, the number one. Hot to the touch, so it will warm the tank a bit. You can see the angels are protecting their brood, their babies. Can you see that? Maybe you can't see that. Their babies are in the flower. See them? See the babies. Look at the babies. Live stream sucks. George Farmer's mouth is the golden ratio. Okay. Abolish Farms, what going on? Alex, what happened to drinking Molmy Dr. Pepper? Oh, yeah, I'm fine. But I thought I might have died too. I was concerned. But no, it's all good. It's been, 5 days now, and I'm still good. So, no death yet. Does Hornwort help brown diatom in brackish water, the algae? It does. It's going to take nitrates out, just like duckweed will. Duckweed's an interesting one. If you have enough surface water movement, like I do in this tank here, about this much movement on the water, duckweed will not overrun. Water lettuce is a better choice just because duckweed gets everywhere, and I just happen to have it, and that's that. Also, by the way, here's a little bubble nest for my betta. I'm so proud of my boy and my girl. But they've got a nest, the angels have a nest, and the gudgeons, the peacock gudgeons, have a nest down there. And the plecos were flirting too, so everybody's digging it in here. But hornwort, basically, it's going to drain the nitrogen and stuff like that out of your tank. And ammonia, your nitrites, your nitrates, but it's not going to actively do anything. I don't think it has any properties. Some plants actually actively inhibit or enable, it kind of just depends on the plant, the growth of other plants or algae. My general advice is to plant the heck out of every tank. Why not? It doesn't hurt. It can hurt your wallet a little, but it doesn't hurt to overplant your tank. I'm surprised Dad's not biting me. Usually he bites me by now. Oh, here he comes. But I'm just pulling up some of this green hair algae because you see this? I've got this light at 100%. And it's too low, and right now my ferts are too high. So this is all me being lazy, and I either need to dial back the light, the hours the light's on, and I can do that all from my phone with the Fluval, which is great. So if you're going to get it, you could get it at your local pet store, which is, like your local aquarium fish store. which would be nice of you. I know Aquarium Co-op carries it for around the same as what Amazon does, but I've linked to Amazon just because it's the best price I found online, and I just think that I don't love supporting Amazon on everything, but I know it is the ubiquitous way that most people can shop, and that people in other countries also can then be looking at the same exact product as folks in America. You know, I can say, hey, everybody, check this out. Uh-oh, I just disturbed that whole bundle of little babies. Please, Daddy, take care of them. Take care of them, Daddy. Don't eat them, though. Yeah, he's spitting the babies back into this flower. Flower? My name's Thumper, but you can call me Flower if you want to. Alright, let's see here. Get off here. Can you guys jump off? No, you're gonna hold on for dear life. Alright, Dad. I just don't want to stress him out and make him eat them, but the algae was strong with this one. Okay, so another thing that I want to show you guys here, let's see here. So that was the Hornwort. Just got a new 20-liter setup on the desk. Still don't know what I want to stock in it, but at least you can plan it up totally. So here's a little 5-gallon, 5.5 gallon. This is what I was working on for the little aquascape thing. This doesn't have enough light that you're seeing what it will look like, but it's got a nice piece of manzanita in it, and it's growing all sorts of low and slow crypts and aponegitans and rotalas and other things. And it's not heated. It's got rice fish, and then it's also got peacock gudgeons in it. Peacock gudgeons, little known fact, they can withstand down to like 65 degrees and still reproduce just fine. This is that Aqueon pendant filter. Also, this was the number 10. Remember I said Aqueon, they make them as far as at Petco, PetSmart. They also make bar versions of this. I've just got it clipped onto a piece of wood, literally. This is a halogenous silver, what is it? Silver oxide halogenolite, I want to say. So it's like a hybrid of halogen and silver oxide. I'm messing it all up. Sorry guys, my brain's gone goofy on me today. But in any case, this was an old light I used to use that was incredibly powerful, but the bulbs are like $90. I'm not even kidding. But I used to use that for tattooing, and I used it on plants in tanks once in a setup like this, and it grew like no tomorrow, but it also sucked up a ton of energy. Alex, the merchant marines are threatening to pull their sailors. That would be a mess. I cannot blame them. They have been stuck on ships since March, no leaving, period. Ooh, that's rough. That would definitely screw up our supply of all sorts of, goods and services, just like when the Teamsters go on strike, just like I did an article talking about when President Trump was talking about having a trade war with China, and people got really mad at me and thought I was bashing on the president or thought I was pro-president. I mean, they just assumed whatever was the opposite of what they liked, and because of that, they were giving me a lot of hell on it. But my sheer fact was that if we charge them $20 to get something in the country, they're going to pass that on to their wholesalers in the country, and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Somebody talking about brackish water. Dan, I see you talking about that plants die in brackish water. Many plants die in brackish water. You've got mangroves and some vals and some, I think, cypress hellfry can sometimes hold up to it. As well as some of the Anubias, like sturdier type plants. By the way, I have some content, and I'm thinking it might go just on Patreon, but it's HD quality footage for 15 or 20 minutes of this tank right now, and every little inhabitant, because this is such crap level color and footage. I want to show you off the gobies, their behavior, all the things they do. Same with these rainbow fish. I want to show their movement, their shoaling, and their reactions, and the shrimp and everything. And because of that, because I can't put music to it that has any sort of copyright in existence. Yeah, I think I'm gonna save it for Patreon and have that as some hidden content, because right now this is by far my favorite tank. I sit and stare at this every day for an hour just watching the Medaka rice fish, the Somfongzi rasboras, the baby longfin albino plecos, the ruby tetras, all the little shrimp, the endlers that have been acclimated to living in low pH or high acidity water and low TDS water, which is rare, but now they're happy. The Novice Aquarist says, I have a Fluval Sky. It operates on my phone. I can't figure out as far as balances of spectrum and time and blah. I hate it. Yeah, those aren't the best. That's not the best operating system, so to speak. The Fluval Planted Plus 3.0 is really far superior, very far superior. I've started pulling my CPD fry to grow them out in a tank that I put together for your book giveaway, but I'm also treating with Maricin to help kill cyanobacteria. Will the fry be okay with that? They should be. Sometimes Jackson Tax, or Jerry, sorry. Sometimes the fry will have an issue in that they don't have their own immune system because they get it from their parents rubbing on the eggs or the secretion of their parents being on that egg, and sometimes they don't get it fully when they're babies. So they have to get it from their siblings by interacting and rubbing on one another. But I wouldn't worry about it. Usually with the level we're talking about there, it will kill some beneficial bacteria, but in the long run, it'll be okay. If you're just talking about a little bit of green cyanobacteria, you can even choose to leave that sometimes. If it's not spreading, but if it's above the end of the glass, the edge of the glass, you know, not just in the front of the sand substrate layer, then I totally understand that and would want to get past that and nuke it. Just be careful that if you have a sponge filter or what have you, if you have a biological filter media, that you either take it out. Well, no, there's cyanos in there. You just be careful. Make sure you've got a backup source if you can. Always store an extra sponge filter in a healthy tank if you can, and that will really allow you a lot of flexibility later on what you want to do with things. I want to know why in the world all my snails are huddled up together. I don't like it when they do that because I always think something died, and I think something did die. What died? Oh, a snail died. Well, that's okay. We're okay with snails dying as long as the little Red Riding Hood shrimp aren't dying and my other shrimp aren't dying. This is how I clean up their poo. I have to say this gives me a sick satisfaction using the turkey baster so precisely to clean up the little curly cues of ram's horn snail poo. It is the little things in life. Truly, it is. The little things in life that make you go crazy and make you a weird person. Alright, let's see here. Yeah, look at all that grossness. We got it. Alright, so let me get rid of that. Put it into my old scuzz barrel. Always got a scuzz barrel in my aquarium room, right? Raise your hand if you got a scuzz barrel for dirty water and dirty critters. So down here, here's a good example of a situation where you could use a kit light. We're just growing shrimp and algae. We're growing panda loaches. I mean, you could put CPDs, you could put erythromicrons, ruby tetras, corydoras. You could put a lot of stuff in here, no problem. Eliosoma, gilbertii in here too. But mostly it's the little panda loaches doing their thing. The planaria, you can see there's two over there. Panda loaches like to eat the planaria when they get a little bit bigger. Right now they eat the baby planaria. But yeah, when they get older, they eat a whole lot of it. And up here you can see the shrimp are hanging out in the light, which is unusual if you know shrimp. But it's just a testament to show you what a hunk of junk the Aqueon lights are that come in the tank kits. This wasn't a hooded kit, but way back for Christmas, 5 years ago, I think, this was a $5, or not $5, this was a 10-gallon and 5-gallon kit, and that's the crappy light that came with it. Okay, split the power supply, use it on 2 lights. It'll drop par enough to use a low boy. Yes, you can do that, definitely. I have an Aqueon clip-on. It works great to grow Val, Rotala, Ludwigia, Boos. Has carpeted dwarf hairgrass and chainsword. See, that's great. It's got to be a small tank, like definitely like this. That's not going to work on, you know, a deep tank. This is as deep as you want to go, about a foot. And 6 inches is more ideal, you know, if you're really trying to carpet and stuff, especially if you're not using the CO2. But that depends on your water a lot too. Definitely Atkins Nature Aquariums. If you've got harder water, your Monte Carlo is going to do a lot better. So, all those plants that you mentioned actually don't mind it. What do you do with your pond tub fish when it gets cold? I bring them in and I sell them. I sell a lot of the critters I have in the fall. Got 3 Aqueon on a 12 long using 1 power supply. It's mint. You like that one, huh, Chad? What did that run you in total? 3 Aqueon on a 12-gallon long. 12-gallon long is a size I'm not familiar with. I know the 9. Do you know when aquatic arcs will have in more gobies? Well, today they got in cobalt blue gobies again, and they also got in the rainbow gobies, or they have them again. But just keep checking. You can put your name on an email list and find out when they get them in. They'll email you. Over here, I was gonna say, this is a knockoff of a Twinstar. These are real Twinstar struts. This is a knockoff that was $40 or something online from China. It produces okay light. It's probably the same exact LEDs as Aqueon, honestly. And same with this guy here. This had a lot of LEDs on it, so it actually produced a good amount of light. I don't know the brand. This literally has no brand on it, and it was $35, I want to say. So you can find some interesting deals on eBay or Alibaba, or if you buy on, if you've got a VPN and you shop on any of the like Japanese auction sites or Korean auction sites, you can sometimes get stuff if you're willing to wait. But yeah, let's see here. Alex, look for the letter to the Rear Admiral of the U.S. Navy. About 20% of the critical position is merchant marines. Jackson Tax, what are you speaking to right now? Just the situation that they're all pissed off and that they don't want to be sitting on boats anymore? And are you saying that will affect the hobby soon, probably? Like cease shipping in stuff? Because I'll definitely look into that. because you know everything like the virus and stuff that broke out, obviously. When that was starting, I told everybody stock up on your food. I know some places they're gonna close everything except for the bare necessities. Look for the bare necessities. Luckily, in Washington, fish stores were counted as bare necessities. They were essential workers. And I mean, it's a dubious claim to me, but I guess dogs need food, so pet stores, in theory, need food. Also, yeah, pea puffers have been a little hard to find, but they did have some at the fish store of all places in Lake City. And yeah, they had some in the fish store. And they had some at Sierra, and Zen hasn't had them in a long time. Aquarium Co-op had like 2, but they looked like they were in real bad shape last time I saw them. Just got into breeding Siloase shrimp. Right on, Yosho Cromwood. Are you in the States? I can't remember. That would be really cool if so, because I would love to buy some off of you possibly in the future. I want to get back into that at some point, especially when I get a house, if that ever happens. Who knows if it will now. Preston John, good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. Tim Surgeon, need help, please. I have guppies and angels that have man, I cannot talk today. They have worms. Red worms. I have general cure. Will that work? Probably not, unfortunately. You're probably going to need to go to the pet store, buddy, Tim, and you're probably going to need to get fenbendazole or flubendazole or levamisole. Any 3 of those will work. You can also buy them on eBay or on certain pet supply websites. It depends on what state you're in, if they're monitored or not, but you can get cat dewormer or pig dewormer also at like Tractor Supply Co. or at a local Granger. If you're not in a big city, you might have a local Granger that actually has it at a reasonable price and not some ridiculous crazy price. Other than that, what I have done is I will buy cat dewormer and a little bag of that where you usually get 6 in there to treat them, you know, or 3 in there to treat them a few times or whatnot, for kittens or whatever. You can get rid of them that way. You just need to look up the mixture and be careful about not overdosing it, because I've also killed fish with pure levamisole before too. But good luck with that, because I definitely have had those a lot of times. They're very common, especially if you shop at Petco or PetSmart or anything like that. Any big bulk supply of where they order fish, that's an inevitable outcome, honestly. It really is. Now, some fish can really live with the worms for a long time. It's not ideal, and it makes them very prone to other illness, but there are some fish like plecos and things that I've had where they've died of old age, or you know, they've died at 5 years old or something, you know, old enough age. They didn't have a sunken belly, and then when I did an autopsy on them, it turns out their whole gut was full of worms, and you know, they died from some sort of laceration on the outside. So it may have hurt their immune system, but yeah, not 100% of what killed them, which is interesting to me. Female guppies, you can really see it after they have babies. Sometimes they'll get real pregnant, and then they'll lose that, and they'll look really deflated, because they'll actually kick out some worms too. Also, speaking of little gobies, we've got the Riffle Gobies here, and then back over here we've got the neon blue and the neon yellow, but they just don't show up in the live stream very well. So like I said, it's going to be on Patreon. You just have to pay, I think it's $2. $2 will get you access. I'm going to start doing these relaxation, high definition color films where you can just put on basically fish vision. You can pretend you are in the tank and just relax, watch the show, let your anxiety melt away. I'm gonna do that, I think, tonight. The first video will be up. So yay for you guys who are on that Patreon, and we can add whatever music we want, but I might just leave it quiet because then you can add whatever music you want. You don't have to necessarily mute it. Look at this silly shrimp. He's at the top of the tank just cruising around in front of all of the fish like he is the king of kings. Good angelfish online. Definitely Aquatic Arts is where I've bought all mine. I love them. Very high quality. Their Turkish blues were incredible. Their kois, their koi angelfish, really incredible. Man, you guys can't see this color at all, and it's just beautiful. This little goby is a beautiful golden with turquoise. He's got a beautiful little turquoise nose that looks gray. And it's frustrating. I don't even want to film this tank on this live stream anymore. Same with the lilies. They've got this beautiful metallic sheen of red and can't even see it. Yeah, goat dewormer, it's a liquid. That's usually also levamisol, and it's usually just, it's emulsified, which means it's evenly distributed in a aqueous solution, technically speaking. But yeah, that works just the same. If you can find fenbendazole, flubendazole, or levamisol, those three really, metronidazole, which is antibiotic too, and antiparasitic, can help in conjunction, but usually won't do the trick. Salt can help a bit just because worms, just like slugs and things, get shriveled up and it sucks up the membrane. Another gross way, though, just a little tidbit for you guys. If you're not sure what kind of worms, but you suspect your fish have worms, a lot of times puffer fish or corridoras, any bottom feeders, pandagaras, loaches, plecos, algae eaters, things like that. A lot of times you can tell that they have them because don't feed them for a day or two and then put food in the water, but don't let them eat it, and you'll see that they smell it and they actually come out of the orifices and start squirming around trying to get to the food. And sometimes they'll even leave the fish's posterior and come and get it. In humans, that's how they used to try to catch tapeworms. Here we've got a lipstick goby hanging out, doing well. Oh, I'm sorry, Sunny Doan, that your 10-gallon cracked. That is a bummer. TGIF, Electrofry. Yeah, I agree with you. TGIF. Thank God it's fish day. So, yeah. Yeah, that is nasty, isn't it, guys? It's a nasty way to catch them, but you can catch them that way. I mean, you can probably catch them, like get them that way too. Your 10-gallon sprung a leak on you. Yikes. I've had that happen. My 5s and my 10s have leaked worse than any other. This was an Aquatic Arts buy right here, this angelfish, in case anybody was curious. There's a blue mama over here. Come on, blue mama, what you doing? Come out. I know you got babies, but she's real beautiful. And she's also from Aquatic Arts. She was their Turkish blue that they carry frequently. Locally bred. They imported them, and then they gave them to some Indianapolis area breeders, which is how they like to do things frequently. And then they buy them back from the breeders, which I think is a real great program. By the way, the peacock gudgeons that I'm breeding, they're in here. Ooh, the light's coming through kind of cool in here. Also, we've got some daisies, blue ricefish, as well as some pseudomagills that I'm spawning, doing their thing. And we have some Argentinian / Venezuelan Corridora Aeneas, two different types. We're getting some interesting light coming through in here. I don't know. Okay. Yeah, 10s, at least they're small enough that, yes, they don't take a ton of time to reseal. The other thing is, at least then you don't have, like, a billion gallons of water. You know what happened one time on one of my tanks was I had a hang off the back filter, and the stem was really deep in it because it was on a 75 gallon, and it was a 120 gallon hang off the back, which I don't even know if they make those anymore, but it just pumped water until the freaking tank was out of water, other than that where the the mouth of the valve was. Hold on, I'm gonna wash my hands real quick in here. I like to wash my hands before I touch my fish. So, as we were talking about lights, ladies and gentle jerks, we hit the spots. I think between the first episode, the little 20-minute intermission episode that died, and this glitchy as hell episode, which I don't know why YouTube hates me right now. It really, like, it wouldn't let me launch live. It said error, error, error. I tried it on my laptop, error, error. And I think I better count my blessings while I have them, and get out of here while I get I'm going to keep that $2 super chat. That way I won't get refunded. Just kidding. But yeah, check me out on the Aquarium Guys podcast, anywhere you get podcasts. They're a fun listen if you like. It's kind of like, it reminds me of The Man Show with Dave Attell, and you know, like back in the day, or was that it? Or Loveline or something? Kind of like that style of humor, but about fish, but that kind of humor. So, yeah, if you're into that, check it out. Obviously, I don't necessarily always go there in my humor on this channel, but I'm open to a lot of things. So, yeah, thank you guys. Don't forget to hit that like button. It looks like we got 8 likes and 50 people in here right now. Plus, I know a whole lot of you's come and gones. But thank you again. I hope that these lights can help you guys. I hope that some of you can come to this video and be like, boom, thank you. Alan, now Alan's going to make me wait another 5 minutes until the super chat disappears because he's an evil. No, I'm just kidding. Alan, that's always so sweet of you, man. I don't know how you do it. I don't know. You do those things you do. But I really do appreciate the super chat. I do. I always do. And you do a lot of them. So I'd like to know too, what, you know, since I can't do the membership thing, like a lot of people are affiliates with Aquarium Co-op now, I think. And if you're affiliate of a bigger channel now, you can get membership. You can get these other setups. You can do the whole $5 membership thing, and then you get more percentage of your money. And also, I think that's true once you hit, like, it used to be 20,000, now it might be 50 or 100,000 subscribers. I don't quite know the specifics on it anymore because it's become so far. They keep moving the bar, so I've just stopped caring. But you know, if I could do that, it would be interesting to see, because like with Patreon, I get a much higher percentage of what you chip in. So if someone super chats $2, I'll probably in the end see a little less than half of that after taxes. And what YouTube takes, and then if it gets demonetized, they take a bigger chunk and it goes to advertisers too. It's just kind of an odd system. They don't make it transparent whatsoever. And whereas Patreon takes a standard pretty small fee, it's under 10%, and then like a 3% banking fee or something. And then I've got taxes in my state are 26% plus 15%. For the independent business tax on things, although that might not apply to this to like a super chat, Definitely does not apply to a monthly subscription, but it does to cash gifts, which is kind of how they view super chats. So just an interesting little tidbit that if people like want to throw in and have their money go farther on the channel, Patreon's always good. Also, it is a reliable source, which is nice. And it's transparent. You guys see how much money I have that I'm working with. So thank you for those of you who do that. But also, you know, people like to do one-time PayPal gifts sometimes. Like to do Venmo. I can do those too. Just message me. I'll take your money however you'd like me to take it. And also, it supports the channel too, though. If you're looking for lights today or in the future, come back to this video, share this video with someone who is. Click on the Amazon link through that, and then any light that gets bought, it not only will it be at the lowest price that we could find online for that product, but no matter what you buy, even if you look at the light I recommend and you're like, ah, screw that, I'm going to get this light that I didn't even mention, it can help gives me a very small percent of that transaction even, which is really cool. So that's how the affiliate links work, is basically they don't care what the person's buying, they just want you on the website. So thank you guys. Thank you, Alan, for making me stick around a little longer. I hope that you guys liked the top 10 list in the first 30 minutes. I hope that you liked the info in the last video. And of course, all 3 of these light videos, I'll probably try to do a rundown in 10 minutes of some sort. Maybe like the 5 lights to get by, depending on what you want to spend. But yeah, so I mean, I think that we'll see how that works out. But there's so much to learn about light and be said about light, and I could nerd out about it forever. And same with forest fires. I went on that tangent the other day too. So thank you so much for joining me this afternoon, this evening, wherever you are this morning, if you're in the middle of Australia or something, you guys. And I know there's a lot of streams on tonight, a lot of good people on tonight, so I really do value that you guys spent your time with me. Also, Anthony, welcome. That's awesome that you're here. And new sub sent over by Rose. All right, awesome. Good to know. Thank you, Rose. Okay, all right, guys, that is it. That's the show. If you want to stay for the after party, it's BYOF, bring your own fish, and we'll be grilling them out back. No. We have a goldfish luge. No, that's not true either. No, I'm going to go lay down and probably hit the inhaler, because literally when I've been coughing today, brown and black stuff comes up. That's how much smoke there is here right now. It's on the meter scale right now in my neighborhood, like in the little pocket I'm in, because I'm in like a little bay and then there's hills on 3 sides of me. It's like unsafe for all humans or unhealthy for all humans. Something like that. It's the purple color rather than the red, rather than the yellow, the orange, the red, or the bright or the dark red. It's purple, like magenta. And then there's like a black warning too. It stops at 999 parts per million, because they assume that that's like you're smoking cigarettes nonstop. That's how bad the air is after that. They assume you're gonna need to be in your car. One time I was stuck in a forest fire. Just so you guys know, if you ever get stuck in a forest fire and you're surviving the fire okay, but the smoke's really bad, they radioed to us over, like they interrupted the local radio, and you put on, planted tanks electrify. As much as I would love to say that tanks produce air for your house, they do a little bit, but it's like pop bottles per tank worth, or not, it's more than that. Okay, it's like scuba tanks worth of air per day compared to the volume of the whole house. In fact, a guy made an office building where you could breathe the air completely made by plants, and it would clean the volume of a workspace. And I think it was 80% of the workspace. You can Google it, it's on YouTube. It was done in France, in Paris, I think. 80% of the space was taken up by plants to make it so that would work. And they're like big palm trees with vines around them and hydroponics and all sorts of stuff. But it's a cool idea, and if nothing else, it makes us feel better. It conserves species. And it does contribute a little bit more. I mean, especially with this crappy air, it does clean the existing air, spit it back out. It just doesn't add to it necessarily. Okay, guys, that's all I've got for now. I swear. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye. Sorry about the leg today.